Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to one of my weird videos. It's Friday night, and had a really rough day. Had a really rough. Tell you, this whole week was just total mess. Total mess. Couldn't sleep very well because it went from hot to cool. So now, like for example, it drops down to like the 60s at night. So it's kind of cool. So that means I'm kind of catching a cold again. Sinus and all that. But hey, that's the way how life is. Don't sleep much. When you finally do get to sleep, it's time to wake up. And Saturday, I'll be working 5 hours of overtime. So naturally, I'm not doing it. I'm sitting at home chilling, like I always am. I don't have a working car at the moment, and I don't feel like driving my mom's car anywhere because in certain situations when I do drive my mom's car, something always happens. So I decided, nope, not driving her car. But anyway, what did I do? Well, I watched a little video game stuff, ate some dinner, and I decided to read some books. Well, this is a fourth issue limited comic book series that I was planning on. I bought it for a long. I have it downstairs in my basement. Thought I lost it, so I went to the comic book store, and I bought the bun. I found it, bought it for like $6, 4 books for $6. So it's the whole thing. And then, of course, not realizing that I have it, but hey, what's a different copy to read? This one is called The Kindred, based off of Wildstorm's characters from Image, long time ago in the 90s. Jim Lee created these two characters. If you're a comic book guy or a girl, you know who Jim Lee is. Enough said. He left Marvel. Of course, he left Marvel, did his thing with Image, created his Wildstorm Productions, and after 20-some years of having these characters from the 1990s to early sometime in 2000, he sold all of his creations to DC Comics and got a nice super high position with DC Comics. At the moment, I don't know if he's still there or not because of the shakeups in DC, but if he is, great for him. If not, and the thing is that a lot of the creations during the New 52 era, which he was a big part of, some of his creations showed up in the DC universe, which was great. But after that, they don't really use any of his characters anymore. And just like when Marvel bought Malibu Comics, and they don't even use any of those characters. It's kind of a waste, but anyway. Guess so that way no one else can get it. But anyway, this features two of his famous Wildstorm creations, the Grifter, which is now prominently being featured in the Batman. Which book is that? Not Batman Adventures, but Batman Urban Legends. He's a feature in the story in there, and Backlash, which is my favorite character that he created. Drawn by Brett Booth, who did Guardians of the Galaxy recently, especially some of the covers. So here's issue 1, issue 2. Issue 3 and issue 4. Now the hilarious thing is that these books sold out when they first. I remember in early like '93 when this came out, it sold out. So, and I think I bought like a copy or two. And I don't remember. I was like, wow, because it was new and exciting. Here's the thing. Basic premise of this is that these two characters were part of group called Team 7, which I did a video on a few weeks ago. Team 7 was this paramilitary group that does wet works kind of stuff. Ended up getting superpowers, and then half the team just decided to take off because they couldn't take it anymore. Their point man, the leader of their team, gets captured. So what happens, the federal government decides, okay, you know what, we got to rescue him. He knows lots of government secrets. So we're going to hire this guy named Backlash to get him. Backlash goes to his contact to get some information. And the contact was like, well, I'm waiting for somebody. He was waiting for the grifter to show up. Hilarity ensues. A group of paramilitary troops come in, basically subdues Backlash willfully, takes him away. Grifter follows him to figure out what's going on. He hitches a ride. The Grifter hitches a ride on one of their stealth planes. The Kindred is a bunch of mutated atoms. Basically, have you ever heard of the movie called The Island of Dr. Moreau, where the scientists created these mutated animals to become like human-like? That's what this was. So they started attacking the planes going down, and this guy named oh shoot, what was his name? Flint. Now the funny thing is, this guy, his name was Flint. And I never thought about it until when I read this today. I was like, man, this guy looks like the Flint from G.I. Joe. What a coincidence. You know, it goes down. They're fighting against each other because they hate each other's guts. They had to fight all these creatures, get captured, they plot their escape. So be it. The leader of this group used to work with these guys, and during the past mission, he was shot and left for dead. So he decides to take revenge. It's a very simple story. It's a very, very, very simple story. And, you know, I read this within maybe an hour. Mostly because of the fact that I read these books like 2 or 3 times 20-some years ago. And every so often I find this and read them. I think the last time I read this was maybe 10 years ago. I don't know what I was doing. I just, oh look, Kindred, let me read this. Okay. I think I was in probation at the time, so I had nothing else to do, so that's what I did. Okay, I don't know. Don't remember. But I still remember this as I read it 20-some years ago when I was in college. Still remember it. Well, I should say 20. I should say 30. Sorry. 30 years ago, because in the 90s it was 30 years ago. I was in college. These things are you can find these very easy, and they're very cheap. Very, very cheap. Let's see. How cheap is this? Let's look at the good old eBay. The Kindred comic. Okay. $5 to $6 a piece. You can buy each of these for $5 to $6 a piece off of eBay. So, is it a very good story? To a certain extent, it is a very good story. In my opinion, it is. Simple story, which is great. Simple stories are actually good. The one thing about Image, and the one thing, and it still hold true to this day, in some respects, is that some people, the stories are very, very paper thin. And they did it that way, so that way you could just breeze through it. But the thing is, the artwork is incredible. The one thing about Image Comics back in the 90s, the stories may not have been the best, but the artwork was incredible. There's lots of times where I read a book that had a really great story, but the artwork just turned me off. You turned me off. You know, whatever. But anyway, if you're interested in reading something really different, superhero like, but not really superhero like, this would be a good book to read. These 4 books, if you want. But in my opinion, would you? I wouldn't pay $4. I wouldn't pay $5 to $6 a piece for it. Like I said, I got all 40s for $6 as a bundle. Try to see if you can try to get it as a bundle for like less than 10 at the most. And even if you didn't like it, it's like $10 at least. So it's not like you spent like lots of money. Because I mean, there's sometimes where I spend lots of money on a book, and I'm like, why the hell did I buy this shit? But anyway, with that being said, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me for like a good 10 to 11 minutes of your day. I basically give you a basic overview instead of going through all these details and stuff, because you know it's not really worth doing all that. But anyway, thank you very much. Stay tuned. I got some stuff coming up pretty soon, like normal. So with that being said, thank you very much, and talk to you later.